Hello, second graders. It's Miss Willingham coming at you live from my house. It's been a while since we've been at school, so I hope you're ready to learn and get right to work so we can be up to date on what we need to be when we come back next year. Today is Monday, April 13th, and we're going to be talking about some writing lessons today. So today we're going to be talking about complete sentences. And I hope at this time you guys all remember what a complete sentence is, but we're going to review it just to make sure. For a second, I want you to go ahead and think inside your head, what is a complete sentence? What do I need in order to have a complete sentence when I'm writing? Think about it just for a second. Alright, let's check it out. So a complete sentence, oh my goodness, this looks like a lot, but it's really not. So a complete sentence, we know that a complete sentence always has a subject and a predicate. We always have to know who the sentence or what the sentence is about and who or what that person or object is doing. So for example, if I said, Mr. Ryder eats cheeseburgers, I know that my subject, who I'm talking about, is Mr. Ryder, and I know that when I say eats cheeseburgers, that's my predicate because it's telling me who or what he's doing. Then we talk about capital letters. We know that we always, even in kindergarten we learn this, we always start sentences with a capital letter. If you do not start your sentence with a capital letter, it is not a complete sentence. And we know that we always have to close out our sentence with a punctuation mark. Think in your head for just a couple seconds of the 3 punctuation marks that you should know in your brain. And we know that they should be periods, question marks, or exclamation points, depending on what type of sentence we're talking about. We also have to have our sentences make sense. So if we have a sentence that says, my dog Red jumps the pool. Does that make sense? Probably not, right? Maybe I could say my red dog jumps into the pool, because that gives me some more detail and tells me what I'm talking about. And right here we have a perfect example of an complete sentence. So we have our subject, Sam, played baseball after school. We know that's our predicate. We also see that it starts with a capital letter and it ends with a punctuation mark, which is a period, and we see that it makes sense. So we talk about what is a subject, the who or what the sentence is talking about. We could have a sentence talking about Tommy. Maybe Tommy likes to play checkers with his little brother. Or maybe we have a sentence about rabbits. The rabbits dig holes underground. Or maybe Jane and I don't know a Jane, but I know Jane and I, maybe we like to go skipping through the forest, right? So it tells us who or what our sentence is about. And then we have our predicate. Our predicate tells us what the subject is doing. So we could say going to the movies. Who's going to the movies? Miss Hale is going to the movies. Maybe we're saying playing in the park or playing at the park. Maybe the puppies are playing at the park, right? So we're talking about what the subject is doing. Or reading a book. Maybe we're talking about Miss Gregson and we're saying Miss Gregson was reading a book. So it tells us who, or it tells us what the subject is doing. And then we have to talk about incomplete sentences. So we know an incomplete sentence, it does not make sense. It is missing a subject or a predicate. If you have a sentence that is missing either the subject or the predicate, we know that it is definitely not a real sentence. And it may or may not start with a capital letter. We may have a sentence that starts with a capital letter that might trick us, but if it doesn't make sense or if it's missing a subject or a predicate, we can tell that it's not actually a complete sentence and it is incomplete. And it may or may not end with a punctuation mark. Even if you see a sentence that ends with a punctuation mark, it's not necessarily a sentence. We gotta make sure we double check that it makes sense and it has both of these things, subject and a predicate. So here's an example. Ran across the street. I don't see a capitalization, I don't see a period, and I definitely don't see a subject telling me who is running across the street. So let's look at these sentences. Here's some good examples. Mike ate an apple. I see a capital, I see a period, I see a subject, Mike, and I also see that Mike ate an apple. So it's telling me what Mike is doing. So that's definitely, I'm going to mark that off as a complete sentence. I'm going to put a little check. Plays baseball. This one's kind of tricky. I'm not sure who plays baseball. So I think I might be missing my subject. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one a red X to show me that is not a complete sentence. 2 turtles. Well, it tells me what the sentence is about, but it doesn't tell me what they're doing. Are the turtles swimming? Are the turtles doing backflips on the beach? We don't know. So we're definitely going to go ahead and give it a red X because it is an incomplete sentence. Next one, Amy eats ice cream. I see a capital letter. I see a period. I see a subject who's Amy, and it definitely tells me what Amy is doing. She eats ice cream. So I'm going to give it a green check for complete. The next one, John and I make birdhouses. Oh my goodness, this one has 2 subjects. Tricky, tricky. John and I, so me and John are doing this, make birdhouses. I see my capital letter at the beginning. I see my period. I see my subjects, John and I. I also see make birdhouses, so it tells us what our subjects are doing. So I'm going to give it a green check for a complete sentence. Oops. What's our second to last one? Buys a toy. Who buys a toy? What buys a toy? Are we talking about Santa buying toys? Are we talking about our parents buying toys? Are we talking about the Tooth Fairy buying toys? We don't know. So we're definitely missing a subject telling us who the sentence is about. So it is not a complete sentence. And then our last one, they go to school. They go to school. I see a capital letter. I see a period. I see my subject, which is they. And I see what it's telling me that they are doing, which is go to school. So I definitely see a complete sentence here. Check. Alright, look, I have a few more, and these are going to be fun because we get to edit these ourselves and make them into complete sentences. I'm going to tell you right now, none of these are complete sentences, so we have to make them real. I want you to look at these sentences by yourself for just a second and think in your brain, how could I make this sentence a complete sentence? What can I add? Is it missing a subject? Is it missing a predicate? Is it missing punctuation? What is it missing? Alright, I hope you got some good ideas. I'm going to go ahead and fill these out with my ideas, but you can fill them in with your ideas in your own head. So Miss W eats. I know, and I know my class knows, that I eat a lot of chocolate. So I'm going to add this to my sentence. Miss W eats lots and lots of chocolate. Oh, okay, so I see I have a capital letter. I see that I have a punctuation mark. I see that I have a subject, Miss W. That tells me who the sentence is about. And I see it tells me what she is doing, what I am doing, eating lots of chocolate. So we have a complete sentence. Let's go to this one. Loves the LSU Tigers. I bet you have a pretty good idea of who loves the LSU Tigers. But does our sentence tell us that yet? Probably not. So, to make this a complete sentence, I'm going to go ahead and add Mr. Ryder loves the LSU Tigers. I see that I have my capital letter at the beginning. I see that I have a period at the end. I see that I have a subject, Mr. Ryder, and I see I have a predicate, loves the LSU Tigers, tells me what he does. So I believe I have a complete sentence. Next one, Miss Hale. Miss Hale can do. Miss Hale can do what? We know that Miss Hale can do lots of things, so what can we fill in here? I know that Miss Hale can do the splits. We saw her do that at our Slim Good Body field trip. So I see that I have a capital. I have my period. I have a subject, Miss Hale. I have a predicate, can do the splits, tells me what she does. So I have a complete sentence. Next one, speak Spanish. Who speaks Spanish? Who speaks Spanish? There's plenty of people that speak Spanish, but who do we know that speaks Spanish? I definitely know that Miss Gregson speaks Spanish, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. And that makes her my subject of my whole sentence. Miss Gregson speaks Spanish. Who's my subject? Miss Gregson. And what does she do? She speaks Spanish. I also see that I have my capital letter, I have my period, and I have my whole complete sentence. And last but not least, Mrs. Jepson is very, oh my goodness, we have so many wonderful words that we could use to describe Mrs. Jepson. But one of the words that I want to use to describe Miss Jepson is kind. Miss Jepson is so very kind. So I see that I now have a capital, I have a period, I have a subject. Who is my sentence about? Mrs. Jepson. I see that I have a predicate. What does she do, or what is she? She is very kind. Oops, we're moving around here. She is very kind, so that is my predicate. So I have a full, complete sentence here. Alright, so now it's your turn. Now you're going to go into Seesaw, and I want you guys to find the assignment that looks like this. I'm going to title it Complete and Incomplete Sentences, and this is what you're going to turn into your teacher for your writing lesson today.